So BentWood Ring Supply sent over some stuff for me to check out, along with some new helpful tools and materials for making inlay rings, which I'll be showing how to make later in this video. And I'll be using all these tools and materials to do so. And the first tool I'm going to go over, it needs a little bit of assembly, and this is a slow speed ring turner. And it's really just 3 bolts that attach the top to the base. There's also a silicone mat that goes on the top right here, and this is going to catch any glue or resin that falls. And because this is silicone, glue and resin will not fuse to this. So once it cures, you can just peel it right off. So it makes cleanup really quick and easy. And on the back side of this, in the base plate, you'll see a few holes. And these are storage areas for the different size ring mandrels. And these range from size 4 all the way up to 15. And they also cover all of your half sizes. And these all fit in here pretty nice and they're easy to take out. But they're also held in place tight enough that they're not going to just fall out. And there's another hole back here that's meant to hold the little containers for your inlay materials. And this whole thing is just powered by USB, which you can plug into just about anything, like the light that I have on my bench. And with it plugged in, you'll find a power switch on the back. And turning it on will start up the motor and you can see how slow this turns. And this is the 5 RPM unit. But they also offer a 10 RPM version as well. So it's really going to depend on how slow you need this to spin. When it comes to using the mandrels themselves, they just pressure fit onto the shaft. But you might notice that the ring doesn't fit on here snugly, which is actually by design, because it's really easy to accidentally glue your ring to the mandrel. So just adding a layer of Teflon tape on here will snug up the ring to the mandrel, and if you get any glue on it, it'll just come right off. And you can see with a couple layers of this on here, the ring now snugly fits on here. And this is going to guarantee that it's going to come off when we want it to and not be stuck. There's also an adjustable chuck for this, which is honestly a pretty interesting design. And you can adjust this to open and close it without any tools, just by twisting it. And these grips are designed in a way to help you make sure that your ring is going to be square in here, or on center, so it's not wobbling. So it's really going to depend on the shape of your ring as well, seeing that if it's too domed, it's not going to square up as easy, compared to if it's more flat. And on the slow turner, the shaft has a hole through it, and the chuck has 2 set screws that line up with that. So to put this on, it's as easy as just putting it over the shaft, and lining up the set screws with the hole, and then just tightening them down, and you're pretty much good to go. And this is a good time to show you exactly how slow this turns. But you're most likely not going to be using this on a metal ring like this. But it is perfect for sealing the inside of the ring like this wood ring. And with how slow this is moving, it makes it really easy to actually apply things. And easily spread everything out to coat everything. And with everything moving at these slow constant speeds, there's not going to be any dripping. So you can just leave this and let it dry on its own. Or you can use an accelerator to instantly harden everything. And using this particular type of glue has been pretty nice. Because when you use the activator on it, it doesn't bloom or turn white. Which really helps with finishing things. And one bottle has enough glue in it to make a bunch of inlay rings. And you can also use these fine tips to make everything more precise. And these can be used for a while, especially if the tip of it gets clogged up, you can just cut it off and keep going. And since I've already started this wooden ring, I might as well finish the outside as well. And I'm going to apply 4 or 5 coats of CA glue to this. And to do the final polish and cleanup on this ring, I did use my lathe. And as you can see, it came out looking really nice. And this does come with a helpful user's manual that pretty much goes over everything I just talked about. So if you need to refer back to anything, it's right at your fingertips. And with all of that out of the way, let's start actually making an inlay ring and introduce another helpful tool, which happens to be this little boat looking thing. This is a mandrel stand, which will also catch your materials if anything falls. And this works with all the mandrels from the slow turner. And I'm going to do all my work on this titanium ring, but they have a ton of different options on their website, using all kinds of different materials, and you can get them in just about any size you need. And I'm going to be using some synthetic opal that they sent over, and you can see that there's quite a few options here. And this is just the tip of the iceberg of all the color options that they actually have. And for the smaller inside parts of the ring, I'm going to be using this green opal. But if you want to crush up your own stones, you might want to check out this stone sifter. And all you need to do is pour your stones in the top and give it a little bit of a shake, and this will basically sort out all of your stones by size in just a few seconds. And all you have to do is unscrew each section to get to them. And you can also buy stones already crushed and use this as well. And here it is completely apart, so you can see all the different layers to this. And here's a look at the finest pieces. So as you can see, this comes in really handy for inlay work. But anyways, back to the inlay ring. I'm going to fill this small channel with some CA glue, and then I'll start placing some of the green opal using some tweezers. And this is just one of the ways I like to do it, but you could just pour the material directly onto this. And the mandrel stand will catch everything that you poured, and you can pour it back into your container. And after a bit of work, I have all those small areas filled in. And now to fill in the outer bands with this nice blue looking opal. And the process is pretty much the same. I'm going to fill in the area with some CA glue, and then start adding the stone chips. And don't worry too much if things are sticking out. We're going to be shaving all this down anyways. One thing I do try to do with all of my inlays is make sure you can't see through it all the way to the base metal or material. And that's why I place most of my stone chips one by one for the most part, and just add more glue as I go. But like I said before, you can just pour the material in as well. But anyways, here it is all filled filled in on the slow turner, and you can see a lot of peaks and valleys in this, so I'm going to flood the entire area with some CA glue. And this is where the slow turner comes in really handy. So I could just let this sit here now and spin, which will pretty much evenly coat everything in the glue and frees me up to work on other things. But if I'm in a hurry, I can let this sit for about 5 minutes and then just spray it with an accelerator to instantly harden everything. But now we need to clean this thing up a bit more because there's just jagged edges everywhere, and we want this to be as smooth as possible. So let me show you how I take care of this on my mini lathe. And to hold the ring, I'm going to be using some expandable steel mandrels. And I make sure to wrap them in Teflon tape to protect the finish of the inside of the ring. And to expand the mandrel to make it tight on the ring, you just have to screw down the bolt in the center. And now I can just load it up into the chuck of the mini lathe. And you definitely have quite a few options when it comes to finishing a ring with different sandpapers. And I actually really like this assortment of sandpaper. There's a decent amount on each one of these rolls, and comes in really handy for shaping and cleaning up the ring at first. But this stuff is really good for the final cleanup and getting it ready for polish. And you're able to just cut them into strips like this to make them more manageable, and so you can keep track of what is used and what's not. I also like to use this assortment of foamy sandpaper. It kind of conforms to the shape of whatever you're working on, and overall leaves a pretty good finish. But for this ring, I'm going to start with some 320 grit sandpaper to knock down all of the opal and grind away a lot of the CA glue. And I'll be using plenty of water with this because we're going to be wet sanding, and this will cut down on the dust, which is definitely not good for you to breathe in. It also helps keep the sandpaper from clogging up. And one kind of cool thing you can do is add water directly to the ring, and when you turn the lathe on, and if it's not spinning too fast, it will just stick to the ring. But you can also add it to the sandpaper as well. More or less, you just want to make sure things are wet. And this is definitely not a quick process. And most of your time is going to be spent using the lower grits and grinding everything down until it's uniform. And because I flooded the entire top area of this with CA glue, I have to grind all of that off now, and make sure all the inlay parts are flush with the titanium. And from the looks of it, I'm just about there, so I can start working my way through the grits, so we can get this looking all nice and shiny. And you can see after doing all of that, it really makes everything pop. And I did use a little bit of Meguiar's polishing compound to make sure everything was nice and glassy looking. But after all that, you can see that this is completely done now, and I really like how it came out. And the inside of this ring blank is pretty much finished when you get it, but that's not always the case, especially if you're making your own rings from scratch, or maybe adding an inlay to the inside of the band. Then you might want to check out some of these finger savers. And these are made out of rubber so they won't damage your finish, and hold your ring in here pretty tight. And they also come in all different sizes, so it should fit whatever you're working with. And the back part of this can just go directly into the chuck on your lathe. And this way you can work on cleaning up the inside of the ring with no worries of getting your fingers ripped off for one, because there's nothing to snag on, and it's overall pretty comfortable to work with. And it's also easy enough to remove this and flip it over when you need to work on the other side. And this isn't the first video I've used these in. I've actually worked with some stuff from this company before, back when they sent me a box full of other materials, like their resin ring blanks, which since then have been upgraded to titanium and other materials, which is honestly a very welcome upgrade. And as you can see, you can make some very nice looking rings with them. And all of these rings happen to be different thicknesses when it comes to the band thickness. And if you didn't already know, this can cause some problems with ring sizing, because a thicker band will fit completely different compared to a thinner band. So having the proper size ring sizer is pretty much a must. And let me show you how drastically this can change. So this is a 4mm band and a size 9, which fits fine on this finger and is relatively easy to get off. But if we switch over to a size 9 on the 8mm band, it doesn't fit right, and it's really hard to get off my finger now. So if we go half a size bigger, it fits like the 9 from the smaller one. And pretty much the same thing happens when I go up to the 10mm, but not as drastic. And going up a full half size is a little too loose actually. So this is all very important information you need to know if you're making rings of any kind, because your client might have gotten measured for a different size band, and their ring size is going to be completely different if they want something bigger. So this way you can either test them in person, or you can always send them one of these ring sizers so they can test themselves. And overall, this is going to save you and your client from having any headaches of dealing with the wrong size ring. And when it comes to size accuracy on these, it's pretty spot on with my mandrel. So that's always some good peace of mind. So if you're looking to try this out and get a couple of these rings, you can. And I'll also have links to everything else I showed in this video. But if you're looking to get more than just a few rings, they do have some bulk ordering options. And of course, when dealing in bulk, the more you order, the bigger the discount. And that's not just for all the rings, it's for almost all the materials as well. And last but not least, they do have a monthly subscription box that will give you access to new designs as they come out before they're available on the website. So if you're wanting to get into inlay ring making, or if you're looking for tools to make your life a little bit easier when doing this, or maybe you're just looking for a supplier, then I really suggest checking out BentWood ring supplies. And if you're looking to see more inlay ring videos, I'll put a playlist up on the screen now that you can check out. And I think that's about it for this video, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!